YouTube community. You can follow me on YouTube, Feb Academic Unfiltered. I do Sunday sessions every Sunday from 5 to 6 o'clock talking about AI. I talk about AI and I talk about entrepreneurship on the Sunday sessions, but the YouTube channel has got many other streams that you can follow. So feel free. In fact, I invite you to go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. I'm going to put up a presentation, but let me say this, you know, to make this more personable, I would appreciate it if you can switch on your camera throughout the talk. It just makes me feel that I'm with people in the room. And also that we are all here in conversation together. I am going to put up a presentation, but still hope that you are able to join me on the screen. I'm also hoping that we can be a little more interactive. So at certain times during our conversation, I will ask questions and request that you engage me. I will ask you to, I'll invite you to ask me questions if you have any. And yeah, that will be useful. I'm just trying to get this. Yeah, okay. Yvonne, I'm going to ask you to tell me if there's anything on my screen that is not clear, that needs me to do something to make it easier for people. Otherwise, if you don't say anything, I'm going to assume that all is well. All right. All is well. Cool. All right, so I've entitled the talk "Embracing AI in Higher Education: Pros, Cons, and some ideas on how to use it productively." I sort of tweaked the topic that you gave me as I was preparing, because I thought, let me tweak it a little bit, because I don't just want to talk about pros and cons of AI in education or something, because you can actually ask Gemini that question and the Gemini will give you the answer. In fact, I tried that exercise, gave different AI models the question, what are the pros and cons? And they'll give you a list, and then you can see whether there's the same. And I'll give you, what I'll share with you is what I found to be a common ground for all the AI models, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's DeepSeek or Perplexity or Gemini or Claude or Copilot. All of them agreed on the ones that I'll be sharing with you, the pros and cons that I'll be sharing with you. But as I say, that's a little bit boring, and so I've put in other things here for us. But here's the thing. Okay, I'm trying to get to the next slide there. So I think it's important to, before I go on, for you to understand who I am. I'm not just my qualification and my experience. I've got biases, I've got interests, and I've got views. And so I thought in this little introduction is really to make you aware where my stance is with regards to AI. And my stance is clear, that my view about AI is that we should stop the fear mongering. So my main aim in all my engagements about AI is to move beyond the fear mongering. There's so much fear mongering that AI is here to destroy education, to take jobs, to do this and that. And so I want us to rather engage with AI critically and constructively as human beings. And in fact, you can do that just as a survival skill, because AI is not going anywhere. It is here to stay. In fact, it's going to advance more. So rather than wishing it away or continue with the fear mongering, we should find ways of engaging with it. So my aim in all my interactions that I do on AI is to promote an informed discussion about both the opportunities and challenges that AI presents for our universities, for our other fellow citizens, empowering us to harness its benefits responsibly for the advancement of our academic communities. Let's face it, colleagues, university education is not as fashionable as it used to be. There's so much debate today across the world about the importance of university education, particularly in this age with the advancement in technology and how easy it is to access information and knowledge. MIT puts all their lectures online. You can actually just access them and learn. And all you won't have is a certificate, but the knowledge you will have. And some companies are dumping the idea of demanding a certificate, and they want your knowledge and skills. And so people are asking, should we be spending money on higher education? And I think when AI comes through like this, we as universities must see the opportunity it presents us to revolutionize higher education teaching and learning, or perhaps even to revolutionize just our approach to teaching and learning and research. And to do that, we're going to have to be more agile. And note, when I say more agile, I do not mean that in order to adapt, but I'm saying in order to show that we are agile, we've got to embrace AI. We've got to embrace AI. So, with that said, I hope you get a sense of who I am. But what are the growing concerns? I'm not naive, so I don't want to pretend that there are no concerns with the AI. There are big concerns with AI, and the big AI is not new. What brought in the concerns is the emergence of generative AI and predictive AI. Those are the two tools in the AI, because artificial intelligence has been there. I mean, you've been able to ask Google to do things for you for so many years. You just Google and Google will give you information. But generative AI models were not available a few years ago, and now you can access a generative AI model and it can produce an essay, it can solve a complex problem, can mimic writing styles. But otherwise, AI generally has been there. It is not a new phenomenon. But the risk that the concern that it raises is the concern of academic integrity. Okay, because it makes it easier for students to submit work that they didn't do. You give students an assignment and they can go and just ask ChatGPT to do the work. And if you are not so experienced, or you're not so committed, or should I say not so aware academic, you might even miss the fact that a student used AI. Because sometimes when you're experienced, you read and you know your students, you can see that this student didn't produce this piece of work. But of course, if you're not that inclined, you might miss that. Okay, so it does bring academic, but also if you get a student who's excellent with their prompt engineering, then in fact they can produce work that seems like is theirs, that doesn't look like it was produced by an AI model. The other concern is that this can have an impact on critical thinking, because with the over-reliance on AI, it can discourage deep learning, analysis, and original thought, which in fact are central to higher education. That in fact academics themselves may depend on it in the way they use it, and the students, the way they use it, might mean that we get students actually who have no skills when it comes to analytical thought. You give them a new situation, they really can't do it, and then they hand it over to someone else, or they get onto the TV screen and they must produce an analysis and they can't do it because all they have survived on is every time they get given an analytic exercise, they give it to an AI model to produce. There's concerns about equity and digital access because, with financial resources. You can have someone having access to a variety of tools, and even learning how to use them better, and therefore being able to produce work that is even more sleek and and not even recognizable. You can get that with students. So there's issues of whether we are creating more inequity with this. But of course, if you look at the literature, you'll see that there's also arguments about the fact that AI might actually close the inequality gap, because it may help us ensure that those for whom education has been inaccessible, it becomes accessible, because we can deploy AI models to teach young people in far remote areas. They can suddenly have a teacher who's an expert, but it's an AI model, and they are now able to acquire the skills and the knowledge that they were not able to acquire simply because they did not have resources. So the equity debate comes both sides. There are concerns about data privacy, that we share so much data, and so it exposes us to risk. There's also concerns about whether universities are ready. And of course, whilst you're sitting there, I want you to keep thinking, are you as an academic ready for this tool? Are you ready for it? Is your department ready for it? Is your university ready for it? And if you say yes, think about why do you think you're ready, okay? And perhaps we as we go on, I will check your thinking about your readiness. How ready are you? Okay, how ready are you as an individual, as a department, as a faculty, as a university? Because, and readiness is not just about the fact that, oh yes, I know about AI. Oh yes, we implement Turnitin to check that students don't plagiarize. Well, Turnitin has been there before AI. So think about, what is it? Just think about the three things that make you believe that as an individual you are ready. Is it in your practice? Is it in what you know? It is in how you assess. Is it in the conferences that you go to now? Is it in your way you prepare your lectures? Think about it, okay? And then, of course, with AI, there's also potential misinformation, okay? It may generate inaccurate or biased content. Can you spot it? And for the uninformed or uneducated or those who are unaware, sometimes when an AI model gives them false information or biased information, they can't even spot it. People think that AI models are always correct, or ChatGPT is always correct, but it is not always correct, actually. And you are actually welcome to argue with it and challenge it so that it can talk back. But if you don't know, you just accept because you think it is there to give you information. But here's the thing. I mean, lack of integrity is the biggest concern that academics have. Lack of integrity. Universities have meetings, workshop after workshop, strategy session after strategy session, because they want to deal with the issue of lack of integrity as a result of AI. But lack of integrity has been there from time immemorial in higher education. It is not a new thing. I mean, plagiarism and cheating predate AI. Students have always tried to copy from textbooks. Some students purchase essays. There are websites that actually sell essays to students that you even have to pay to access that website. They sell theses to students. There's students who try to collaborate illicitly during exams. So the issue of plagiarism and cheating has been there before AI, before generative or predictive AI came into being. So even just general AI, it was there. So this is not new. There's also been research misconduct. As I say, people have asked others to do research for them. Academic integrity concerns, also are not limited to students. There are many academics who've been disciplined and dealt with because of research misconduct, right? People have manipulated results. Some people have concocted data that they didn't really collect. Some people have falsified data. So lack of integrity is not here with us because of AI. It has been there from time immemorial in higher education. There's also a lot of institutional scandals. Higher education globally has periodically grappled with scandals involving admission frauds. There's documentaries about this that predate AI. There's degree mills, there's unethical academic publishing practices. I'm sure you have heard about predatory journals. All of this is lack of integrity that came long before AI became a phenomenon. And you can imagine with AI, these concerns, these behaviors will just escalate. And so as I go on, keep asking yourself, how have you dealt with these? And I would like us to talk about that later. But before then, let me show you a video that shows another level of lack of integrity in higher education. I'm just gonna go to the video and then we can talk thereafter. Just there we go. Let me
and right now I'm doing his master's.
Wait.
With one client, I did his degree and right now I'm doing his master's. He's promised me that I'm also going to do his PhD.
He's the most successful of the two, earning over $2,000 a month. He pays to open accounts on a few of the websites, securing work for himself and other writers. The American student pays between $20 to $50 a page. The account owner, like William, takes a 75% cut. The Kenyan writer can earn as little as $5 a page.
So the first one is
The Kenyans are often given the American students' college login details so they can complete assignments and access the university library. They showed us some of these and we were able to verify that these were indeed students enrolled at US universities. Joanne is doing entire courses for some students.
Give me an example of some of the names of the essays.
argumentative essay on emotional support animals. I also did research on the invention of insulin.
With her help, they're passing with distinction.
That one of psychology, he got 90.
And William is writing all the papers for a social psychology student who's getting straight A's. The Kenyans are so good at the job that sometimes they get asked to dumb things down.
There is one I did and the student got 97. The lecturer was like, this doesn't look like you. So the student is like, could you please lower it down? Maybe work on the language.
Between them, they say they have enabled American students to cheat their way through everything, from US history to engineering, even medicine.
I think the state of cheating.
There you are. So the cheating is not a result okay, it's not a result of AI. Lack of integrity has been there for years. And as you can see, there's even young people right here in our continent who are making money from doing work, basically writing assignments and projects for students in the US, as you can see on that video. And this will continue. And you can imagine how this business will boom, actually, even cheating the cheaters themselves, okay? So here's a question. You are an academic. What strategies has the university or you as an academic used to deal with these challenges that I've just said? This lack of integrity from his history. And I'm going to ask you to think about this. And I want to see, and I'm inviting you to share with me, what are the ways that you have used before to deal with these challenges of lack of integrity in your course or in your university? Anyone wants to share? Can I see anyone wants to share in the room? I can see there are 68 people. Out of the 68 people, no one has had thoughts about how do you deal with this. Does the university have policies or practices to deal with academic integrity? Any takers?
Morning, Prof.
Morning. Do you wanna show your face? Yeah.
Yes, I am. Can you see on the big camera there?
Yes, I can. Yes,
On
I
the
can.
camera? Yeah.
I can. I can see you. I can see you. Yes, go ahead.
Currently, what we are doing, we are using Generative for plug and checks. And lucky enough, it also can check whether content is AI generated as well. So
Okay.
one thing that we've done from our end at the present moment, because of the humanizers that are the AI humanizers that are we realized we need to do a bit more. So, it was very interesting watching that guy saying that I was asked to dump it down.
Yes.
I was asked to dump it down. We know our students. So we in that of it, we actually act as like checkers ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you that, no, this is not you.
Yeah.
Is it? So, but anyway, that is outside of the point. We are using Generative, in our Generative, fortunately, is able to detect AI generated content, whether it's generated or not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's so you're using Turnitin, and Turnitin is one popular tool that many universities, probably all universities have. Can I just see if there are other strategies that you have used, and you can see the different the integrity issues that I've raised. I mean, there's integrity issues of cheating during the exam. Even if you know your students, if they come into the exam and they're cheating, they cheat their way, would you see? If they have a watch and they can reach the internet and read information on the watch, can you see that? Do you have ways of managing that? Anyone? No? Yeah. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm also visible on the
I got you. Don't worry. I've got that on my screen. I can see you.
All right, great stuff. Well, to be honest, Prof, at the moment, the university doesn't have any policies that have been implemented with regards to AI. But the last workshop we had, we were informed by the IT director that a proposal has been submitted to management because obviously it's here and we have to deal with it. That was talking here about here that we do see a level of excellence for the students, but when they submit the assignment, you can really tell he didn't write this assignment. So at the moment, there aren't any policies that are in place that are guiding us in terms of how to deal with AI integrity.
Thank you very much. That was not my question, but thank you for telling me that. That was not my question, but now I know. I was going to ask later. Thank you. Okay. My question was, students have always copied. They have always purchased essays online. Watches like mine, where I can get on the internet, are not new. They didn't come with generative AI. They've always had Google. They've always had a possibility that I can send a message to someone or whatever. And I'm just asking, historically, there's also other ways of, the ones that I've just had on the screen to say this is a long-standing challenge. That's what I'm asking. What have you done historically to deal with that. Not what have you done with generative AI now. I understand many universities are working on policies or they're still going to work on it. Any?
Okay. Thank you for may I just come in shortly?
Yes.
It's so interesting that we are learning a lot. Something we have regulations with guidelines, and we have a committee that is cheating and the plagiarism issue. We have had students that are reprimanded and they've gone through some disciplinary committees, and we also caution our students in the classroom to say this must not be done, and you will actually lose out if you are caught cheating in an exam. And we actually in the page of also have a workshop.
Yeah.
We have our students, all our students online. What's very, we may want you as well to one of the guest speakers to be training our students in particular to really against this challenge of lack of integrity for sure. Thank you, Prof.
All right, thank you very much. So let me stop here. There's people who wrote in the meeting chat. Even though I asked Brian, Files, Agnes, or note taker, Bong, I'm not talking to you, but that guys, Brian, I was hoping that we'll have an engagement. I want us to have a lively engagement online. Okay, so Brian says, I think it's not only limited to watches, there's also airports and other things. Of course, they are not. I'm not saying you should tell me more. I'm saying, how are you managing that, right? And then you are saying, well, I think with the gadgets in the exam room, we don't allow students to have any device in their possession. So that's one way of, and many universities do that. Now, let me tell you this. You know, when I started working at UCT, I was a deputy vice chancellor, and I remember it was 2017. Towards the end of the year, and we're preparing for the exam. And the conversation in the senior leadership team was the security measures to make sure that students don't copy. So computers were banned, laptops, cell phones are not allowed, watches are not allowed, just like you have. And so the university they put watches on the walls because students say, but we want to time ourselves. So they're not allowed to have watches. So there were clock watches on the walls. And it was a long conversation about how do we do this, because it was particular kinds of watches. And I remember that I paused in the meeting and I said to colleagues, you are banning watches today. What are you going to do next week, perhaps, when there are goggles or glasses or spectacles that look like spectacles, but I can press and get the information? What are you going to do? Are you going to say nobody should bring their spectacles into the room? What are you going to do when you ban spectacles and then there are buttons and I can just press a button on my shirt or whatever, and with AirPods that you can't see, that go into my ear just like some hearing aids do, and they give me information? What are you going to do? And I said, the problem is not that we've got weak security measures. The problem is that we haven't thought carefully about what we teach, how we teach, why we teach it, and how we assess it and why we assess it that way. And I want to maintain that AI, what generative AI is doing is forcing universities, academia to do that. Here's the thing, even if you have strict policies about how you prevent students from using generative AI, you will never win until you answer the question, what do you teach? Why do you teach it? How do you teach it? Why do you teach it that way? Why do you assess? And why do you assess the way you assess? I want to argue that that's the important conversation, because until you get there, you will not be able to solve the problem. And later on, I will share some examples about how I think we should think about this. Okay, let me proceed. Okay, let me proceed. So I've been talking about generative AI. Just quickly to say, generative AI, as I said, AI has been there. The disruptor in this space, actually, ChatGPT, all these tools, is generative AI. It's AI that can generate content, whether it creates new or original content, or it reworks content, or it remodels it. It's generative, okay? And the power and threat of generative AI lies in the fact that it excels in making creative human-like outputs across a broad range of tasks. The problem with this is because the outputs that generative AI produces look like they were produced by a human being. And this problem, by the way, when the colleague said, but we know our students, let me tell you, you clearly have not thought or seen something called prompt engineering, because with prompt engineering, you even instruct ChatGPT about the level of sophistication of the content that it produces. You can tell the AI tool to say, write an assignment for me on this topic, and please keep it to the level of a first-year student. And it will do that. Or you can say, keep it to the level of a student who's in the 10th grade, and it will do that. Or, I'm a professor, so prepare this essay to show that it's been produced by a professor of chemical engineering, and it will do that. So actually, this idea that the only way you produce, or one of the good ways, is that you know your students, it doesn't work anymore. Because with generative AI, prompt engineering is very key, it's central to it. And the better you get at it, the better content you get, the better and more relevant content you get. So that's the difficulty of generative AI. There's also predictive AI, and I'm not going to talk about predictive AI today, but I thought I should just put it out there, because in fact, predictive AI is a tool that universities should use, academics should use, because actually it can help us monitor the progress of our students and actually be able to come up with tailor-made interventions to help them succeed. Okay, so don't just rule out AI. Predictive AI would be very helpful to you as an individual lecturer, because you can use it to help your students learn better. You can give them more individualized support, because you are using predictive AI that can help you anticipate what's likely to happen when a learner is doing this or that. It can even help you understand the mistakes that the student is making. I mean, I've always said, as a mathematics education professor, I've always said, mathematics is easy, but teaching it is hard. And what makes mathematics teaching hard is because a good teacher needs to figure out, when a student gives you a wrong answer, your challenge is not just to say it is wrong, it is to figure out why is it wrong. Because only when you know why it's wrong can you intervene and help a student to succeed. Now, AI can help you actually diagnose those kind of things as a lecturer, because not every teacher is able to do that. We have become expert teachers over the years, and so I can look and say, okay, this student's problem is this. It's not particularly this topic that we're doing, because mathematics is so hierarchical and so connected. I can point out where the problem came. Okay, but predictive AI can help you do that. But this is the only slide that I'm going to talk about in terms of predictive AI. I want to continue to talk about generative AI, because that's what causing the biggest disruption. You've asked me to talk about pros and cons. I started by talking about cons. earlier about the disruption that the AI is bringing. But there are pros as well. There are advantages to generative AI. I've been talking about where you can use it to create structure personalized learning experience for your students, because it enables tailored content and adaptive learning paths to suit each student's needs, pace, and style. I mean, in fact, in the UCT Online High School, what we had started doing with AI, and the director, the CEO was briefing me sometime last year, was that we are now at a point where, in fact, we can give children a task or even a test, and after a test, the AI tool will mark, it will give feedback. You can even click and ask it to give feedback in the children's language. So there will be feedback in Setswana. You just press, you want it in Setswana, you want it in Isiswati, you want it in Tswana, you want it in Sesotho, you want it in Afrikaans. It just pukes it out. So it is an advantage for, you can imagine a learner who doesn't understand English. But for online schools, it works. Online, many of us in universities use online resources. It can do that. But there's more ways of using AI for personalized learning experience to ensure a better learning, quality learning for your students. It's efficient. It can save us time because it can automate grading, assessment, and so on, provides quick feedback. It also allows us to be more creative and innovative, frankly speaking. The better you get at it, you can get it to do this. It gives us access to high quality resources that we wouldn't have had. I mean, now I can ask it to give me resources on a particular topic from across the world. I can actually even say it must be video resources that I want to look at. And then I'll be able to have lessons from Cambodia up to Cairo, just giving me different lessons on the remainder theorem, to see how different teachers across the world teach the remainder theorem. I can do that. Previously, I couldn't do that, but now I can do that, right? It enables collaboration and global engagement. It facilitates collaboration among students, among academics worldwide, via virtual platforms, and this, we don't have to be isolated anymore. We have AI that allows us to work with students in Mexico at Tech Monterrey, can work with students at Baisaho. Different campuses, same program. You can be working together with the help of an AI tool, collaborating in time, but also just offline in your work, something that we didn't have before. So there are a lot of pros, and we need to explore those more often. But the challenge, of course, is that every academic is faced with a challenge of making it hard for students to delegate their work to AI. Because you're probably sitting there and say, Dad, Prof, you're saying to me I must think about what I teach, what. It's the middle of the semester. I can do that now. And I'm saying, well, maybe let's start here. Start by thinking about how can you make it difficult for students to delegate their work to AI? How can you make it difficult at this stage? And I'm saying, these are the 3 things that you can just make it a little difficult. Start giving oral examinations and presentations. Don't just always give them an assignment, they go back, they write it, they come back, and then you complain that it's ChatGPT. Well, we might just ask, are you doing your job? Well, it's about time. Let's give you strategies on how to do that, right? With oral examinations, you require students to explain concepts, to solve problems. They do it in real time, verbally, in class. You know, and maybe Fridays is the day when you do that, or Thursdays. Your lecture, your 2-hour lecture, 1-hour lecture, whatever, that's the day that you give students know is the day for oral presentations. That our professor likes oral presentation is because you want to see whether they can be analytic on the spot. Of course, you may give them the topic. You give the topic in class. You don't give the topic to go and prepare at home. You give it in class, and there's interaction, and they're going to be scored not only on what they presented and how they presented, but also how they engaged with the student who is presenting. The ones who are sitting should engage. They will be scored as well on that. They get a mark for that. All right, but you will also engage them. If the whole class decides to keep quiet, then they should know there are consequences, assessment consequences for that, right? You can use in-class written assessments. Computers aside, we are writing by pen. And in this case, you give them essays, problem-solving tasks, you give them reflections that must be completed in the classroom by hand, there and then. And at that point, they don't have access to digital devices, and they rely on their own knowledge and skills. You've taught most. Actually, you have taught, right? You know that. And you are trying to assess whether they know what they're doing or not, or they are with you or not. They are not just relying on an AI tool. And then you can also ask process-based projects with draft submissions. Okay, many academics don't do this. It's like the same old 1956 kind of asking assignments. We can ask differently. You can ask students to document each stage of a long-term assessment. Ask them, how did they go about planning? Note, when I started this talk, I said to you, I gave a task to all the AI models that I have. I asked them, tell me, what are the pros and cons of AI in higher education? And then I looked what Claude says, what Gemini says, what Copilot says, what I'm telling you the process, right? I'm owning up to using AI. There's nothing wrong in using AI. And then I said to you what I did. I then looked at do they agree? Are you talking? Is there a hand up? Yvonne, help me. Yvonne? Yvonne, is there a hand up? Is someone talking to me? No? Okay. I'm gonna assume that someone forgot to mute. All right. So you can ask students to document each stage of the long-term assignment. You give them an assignment, you ask them to do that. How did you go about? Oh, I'm muted. Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Okay, there we go. I guess okay, I'm on now. So you can ask your students to document each stage of a long-term assignment. You know, how they planned it, how they researched it, how they draft. And what you need to do in your class is to normalize the use of AI. You see, when you start treating AI as the enemy, as something that the students should never, ever, ever use, that's when they use it. That's when they use it. And let me tell you, they are going to outsmart you. They are going to outsmart you. They are younger, they are more clued up, they have more time to get better at prompt engineering, and they are going to outsmart you, and they will give you better assignments that sound like them, but just better, that they didn't spend that time. So normalize the use of AI so that when you give them a process-based assessment project, they can say, I used AI. There's nothing wrong with that. Talk about it. And then I will also share just now an example of how else you can actually normalize and bring in. I said before in some forum, I said, you know, you've got to, in your class, you've got to treat AI as a member of the community in your class. Sometimes the AI tool can be your co-teacher as a lecturer. Sometimes they can be one of the students. Sometimes you make the students interact with the AI tool. They argue, you set up debates so that they argue with the AI tool, or they work with the AI tool to produce an essay. You structure an assignment in which they have to work with the AI tool to produce an essay. And then from there, they document how they went about the assignment. How did they include? First of all, which AI model did they choose? Why? How did they engage that AI model? Why did they choose to engage that AI model in that way? Because you ask them to write an essay with them, you gave with an AI tool, you give them a topic, and then they write a separate essay so that they document the process and they answer all those questions that you pose for them regarding the assignment. And this is a very useful way of normalizing the presence of AI, not positioning AI tool as the enemy. Note, by the way, before I go to the next slide, note that students, by the way, are going to have...
You're muted, Prof.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why. There we go. Remember that your students, when they complete your degree, they are going to be in a world where AI is normal. It's not prohibited. And so if you don't normalize it, you are disabling them. When I want to hire them, I will not hire them because they have no idea how to engage with AI tools. And so someone else is going to go ahead of them. So when you normalize AI tools in your class and use them as a co-teacher, as a tutor, as a student to engage with your students, you're not only normalizing it, but you are introducing them to the way of life of the world in the 21st century. That's the way of the world. Directors are using this, companies are using AI tools. Big corporates, multinationals that they want to work for use them. The issue is how they use them. And so you can introduce your students to using AI in a responsible manner, not only responsible, but also in a smart way where they can get the most out of it, not just get what it pukes, which could be flawed. I have an example that I want to share with you. It's an assessment example. Just to give an example of if I wanted to make it hard for students to delegate their work to AI, what kind of question can I ask them? And you know, after this example, I will tell you some stories about what I've seen some forward-thinking universities doing, right, to deal with this. So there we go. So I gave an assignment. I structured an assignment for first-year accounting students. I said to them, interact with an AI model. This is an assignment they are going to be marked on. Choose an AI model. Share the financial statement data, excluding any information of your initial analysis with the AI. And then I said to them, ask the AI for confirmation of your ratio calculations, an interpretation of the ratios and overall financial health of Botswana Traders. Botswana Traders is a fictional company. And then suggestions for business improvements based on the analysis. And then I said, document your AI collaboration. So tell us how you basically collaborated with the AI. So you submit a record of at least 3 prompts. You see, now I'm making them aware the prompts are important. So now, even though I may be an accounting lecturer, my focus is not just, I'm just teaching them accounting, financial statements, and blah, blah, blah. The world uses AI to engage with financial statements. And what's going to make them better when they go into the world is the quality of the prompts they use. And so when I'm already saying to them, submit a record of at least 3 prompts or questions you gave the AI and its responses. I'm going to mark them on the prompts because I'm checking whether the prompts, how clear, concise, to the point the prompts are. Because if they're not, they might not get a quality information. Of course, students will give different prompts, and so they will get different answers. And so their responses to the assignments are going to be different. Even if they both choose to use Gemini, their answers will not be the same. Okay? And then I say to them, highlight any AI insights or suggestions that were particularly helpful or surprising. I could say, or problematic. Okay, so when you got insights from the AI tools, which of those were helpful and which of those surprised you? I mean, I'm challenging them. So I'm not stopping them from using AI. I am pushing them to using AI, and then I'm challenging them to think critically about the way they use AI or what they get from the AI tool. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm normalizing the presence of the AI tool in my class. And that's what I'm saying we must do. And then the instructions continue to say, well, the reflection in about 300 words, critically reflect on how did the AI analysis compare with your own? Did the AI help clarify or correct your work? Were there any suggestions or explanations from the AI you found unclear or disagreed with? Because in fact, they can disagree. Because sometimes the AI tool hallucinates or misses the point or is outdated. Right? And how do you recommend using AI responsibly for accounting studies? Now I'm getting them to even think. This is how I've asked them. Can they suggest ways of using AI responsibly? Can you see, when I say responsibly, I'm making them part of me, of the problems that help us solve the problem. How can we use this responsibly? What do they have to submit? They have to submit a short summary of their initial human analysis, the analysis that they did. Remember that I said they must do the analysis. The record of the AI prompts and responses, at least 3 that they gave. The description of how they used AI to refine or compare their analysis. And number 3, a written reflection. This I can give as the main assignment of my semester 1 for accounting 1 class. It is so much better, so much more challenging than just giving a 1974 assignment or the one that you gave back in 2000 or 2013 or 2019, and the child gives it to an AI tool, and the AI tool just pukes the response, and then it gives it to you, and you do turn it in, and after turn it in, you give them a 0. If I'm looking at the two of you, I would say both the lecturer and the student have failed. And this is what I mean when I say we've got to embrace AI rather than just adapt. And then I'll give them this is how you are going to be assessed. You're going to be assessed on the ratio calculations, the documentation, critical reflection, application to accounting, and responsible use of AI. Because remember, I said to them, they should also give me a way in which AI can be used responsibly for accounting studies. So this is how I'm going to assess them. Now, this is just an example. And I gave an example of an assignment. By the way, you can make it big, and it can be a project, and it can be the final exam of the semester. It's not this is not easy. All right? So you can decide how you give it. You can actually have them in the exam room, give them this assignment, this task as an exam in the exam room with their computers. They let them access the generative AI, let them engage, and then let them give you a report. 3 hours, they must submit. You've got to think creatively and innovatively as a teacher. AI is beautiful in my view because it's forcing us as teachers and academics to think beyond just regurgitating information and giving it to our students and expecting them to be excited about our boring. Oh, did I stop share? Did I get out? Okay, I'm still on YouTube, but it seems that I stopped the meeting instead of stopping to share. So I want to go back into the meeting. Did I stop the meeting? Yvonne, talk to me. Okay, I'm here. All right, great. I thought I stopped the meeting. I was petrified. I thought, damn, I'm still here. All right, so I want to make my screen bigger. That's my problem. So what we are, you can come on screen, guys. So what I'm really saying is that we've got to be more creative, and AI is forcing us to do that. And the people who are going to fail are the academics who are resistant to change, who think that AI must go back to where it came from, and we must go back to teaching the way we did in 1960. And that's the only way we're going to teach. But let me tell you, that way of thinking is not helpful because the world is not in 1974 or 2000. The world is in 2025 and it's moving on. And AI is growing, right? So you want to produce high quality graduates, you embrace AI, you start thinking differently about how you teach, why you teach, how you assess, and why you assess. As I said, it's middle of the year, and maybe you have no time to change how you teach and what you teach. That's fine. At least change how you assess. And I've given you just one example of how you can assess. Now, there are universities that are already doing this. I am a teacher, a proud teacher, but I'm also a constant learner. And what I did last year, I registered for a module on cybersecurity with the German University of Digital Science. Of course, everything is digital sciences, and there's AI, there's everything. And part of what I'm doing as a teacher, of course, I wanted to learn about cybersecurity, but I was also interested in the pedagogy. How do they teach as a digital university? Everything is online. How do they teach? Of course, I'm on the advisory board. And I wanted to be, because I'm on the advisory board, I want to add value to this institution that I'm on the advisory board of. And so I take the course. I'm watching the pedagogy, I'm critiquing it. I was mightily impressed because there's multiple choice questions, yeah? But then the assignments, if you are cheating with the multiple choice, you are doing whatever, that's fine. The assignment is going to catch you. Because AI is embedded in the way they ask questions. And the final exam was to prepare a strategy, a way, give a report on how you can hack a particular company. A fictional company. How would you go about if you wanted to hack? Prepare a strategy on how you're going to do that. Of course, you can't ask AI to do that. No AI tool is going to give you an answer for that because they will tell you this is not ethical. All right? But the power of the assignment is that this is not a textbook question, but it said I must create a company, say what the company is about, and then I must find, or even if I just target an existing company, it's not a fictional company, and I say I want to hack Woolworths, how am I going to do it? How am I going to go about it? Okay, so because I've been doing a module on cybersecurity, I found that powerful, and I think in teaching at university, we've got to do that. Can I ask you to mute your mics, colleagues? So Another university that is full-time online. Colleagues, can you mute? The other university that's fully online is the University of the People. And with the University of the People, I'm on the President's Advisory Council. So on the Vice Chancellor's Advisory Council, I'm a member of that small team that advises the Vice Chancellor. And so again, I'm not a passive person in the team. If you draw me into your team, whatever, I want to contribute. I asked to look at their computer science module. In fact, I asked one of my children to register for the module. I want to see, how are they making sure, because this is a fully online university, are we making sure as a university that there is no cheating? Students don't just outsource the work to an AI tool. And here's the thing, at computer science module, like, there is no way a student can use AI in the way the question is asked. And then, of course, I check the assignments that they give. When I take that assignment that they give and I give it to an AI model, the AI model got it wrong completely. The stat is wrong, completely wrong. So in fact, makes it so much easier for the lecturer to see we are dealing with and then the lecturer, of course, in the engagement with the students online, brings this up to say, when you ask an AI tool, this is what it gives you. Tell me what's wrong with us. Because some of you gave the answer, that answer. You didn't figure out that the answer is wrong. And this is the way to engage. You don't rubbish the tool and pretend it's not useful. You bring it in, you engage with it, you make the students engage with it. Colleagues, thank you very much. I'm going to pause here and take your questions. And those who are on YouTube, I'm going to pause the YouTube recording because we're just going to take questions. If you have a question on YouTube, please put it in your comments and then I can engage with you in the comments. But thank you very much for joining me on YouTube. Colleagues at Baisaho, thank you very much for your attention and for engaging me